by the sea, and all around our coasts, our fishermen are going out of business now. And to tell you why, I'd like to introduce our fisheries spokesman, Ray Finch, MEP.
Hello everybody, how are we doing? It ain't bad, is it? You know what? Welcome to the conference of the party which, according to our friends in the media over there, is on the brink of extinction in the polls. Amazing, isn't it? We've been, in terms of number of votes, by far the most popular party in by-elections and the EU elections over the past few years. We're over double the percentage in the polls of one of the governing coalition parties. And the Prime Minister is so scared of debating our party leader in public that he has to hide behind the skirts of a load of smaller parties like the Lib Dems in the TV debate. We won the last two by-elections in this Parliament, thanks to Douglas Carswell, Mark Reckless, and the work of everyone in this room. And we came within a whisker, within a heartbeat, of beating the Labour Party in their heartland in a by-election, which they called with unseemly haste after one of their MPs sadly died. They called it quickly in an attempt to stop us and to save their own electoral skin. That trick won't work twice. Now, because of this scaremongering campaign, orchestrated by the establishment and promoted by their willing lapdogs in the media, we are expected to run and hide and let the old discredited establishment parties walk all over the voters of this United Kingdom. Well, here's a bit of news for them. We are not going away, and we will not let our millions of supporters down, and nor will we let down the millions of people around the continent of Europe who look to Ukip to give them a lead in restoring democracy to this poor, benighted, bureaucrat-ridden continent. Well, that was my little rant. But that brings me, rather neatly, I think, clever like that, to some other people that the establishment wish would go away. Our fishermen. Now, the Tory Fisheries Minister, George Eustace, you know what I was going to say, don't you? Is telling our fishermen to behave with restraint. Well, that's a plain insult to them. They have always behaved with restraint, offshore anyway. They and their forebears have been fishing sustainably in our waters for over 1,000 years. They understand that the sea is a resource which should be nurtured. But meanwhile, outside our 12-mile zone, there are immense French, Dutch, Belgian, Spanish, other nations' fleets hoovering up the sea life and destroying our ecological heritage by causing desertification of our seas. What does the Minister, the aforesaid Mr. Eustace, do about this? Nothing. Because he has neither the will, nor, while we're prisoners of this common fisheries policy, the ability to do so. While we are in this disgraceful stitch-up, our seas are being destroyed by EU fleets with the tacit complicity of our own government. Our fishermen, due to the mad CFP quota system, we are forced to throw away many, many tonnes every year of quality cod overboard, while we import hundreds of tonnes of cod from Russia, China. This isn't just the economics of the madhouse. It's the policy of the poorhouse, and it's destroying our economy and our communities. Thanks for that. It gave me a chance to turn the page over. In North Devon, for instance, our fishermen have been given a skate and ray quota that is not enough to even pay for one day's diesel to go out and catch them. Our sub-10-metre drift net fisheries face a complete ban simply because the EU is unable to enforce their own laws on lawbreakers in the Mediterranean, where huge nets of over 20 kilometres long are left for a long time, and they entangle and kill threatened species, dolphins, turtles and stuff, which we don't have all that many of outside our coast here, and other protected species. While I'm talking about this madness, our honest, decent, hard-working fishermen who risk their lives every day are being sent to the wall. They're being made bankrupt because the EU neither knows nor cares. All it does, when a hammer doesn't work, it uses a bigger hammer. It's insane, and it must stop. Talking about madness and this cruel bureaucratic meddling, have you heard about our recreational fishermen being punished because the French bass fleet, having wiped out, essentially, the bass population in their own waters, have now caused an 80% drop in the biomass of bass in our waters? And the EU's response to this, I kid you not, is to try and limit sea anglers to a maximum catch of 3 fish per trip. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the old wine's getting a bit tricky over there. Apart from the sheer impossibility of enforcing this madness, the EU is punishing the innocent because its own common fisheries policy is a catastrophic economic, cultural and ecological failure. Now, our sea anglers believe this move is the thin end of a very thick wedge, and they will try and regulate all sea angling. And I believe them, and I will back them in their fight against this injustice. Now, back to our old friend Mr. Eustace. His friends in the governing body, the UK governing body, the Marine Management Organisation, not one of whom, by the way, is a fisherman. I think one of them once got his hands wet when his valet dropped the soap or something. They're just the usual bunch of lawyers and mandarins that you get in all of these quangos. And his friends in the coalition government, they simply don't care. The historic port of Appledore, which has been a fishing harbour for over 1,000 years, is now almost completely closed, deserted, sent down the Swanee by the treachery of consecutive governments and their craven bending of the knee to the EU. And this, my friends, this is happening around all of our coasts, at all of our ports and harbours, and it must end. And thank you. I, as UKIP's fisheries spokesman, am not content to let our greatest natural resource, our people, be ruined in the interests of this new colonial megastate. I say, let us leave the EU, and let us leave now. Not after some prefixed renegotiation, which has already been proven to consist entirely of things, the few things that the UK government can do anyway, and will not make a blind bit of difference to the real issues that affect real people. Give us a simple in and out vote with no shenanigans and no bullying and threats from the likes of Mrs. Merkel and Mr. Mandelson and Mr. Clark. Let the people decide. Now, our membership of the Common Fisheries Policy has been an unmitted catastrophe, both in terms of the economy and the environment for our coastal communities and our nation as a whole. We have had one of this country's primary historic resources stolen from us. Do you know that around 70% of the so-called common fisheries for the EU are actually what would be UK waters if we left and secured the 200-mile exclusive economic zone which the UN Law of the Sea allows? Our small-scale fishermen have had their livelihoods stolen, and our seas, which are as much our own patrimony as the vineyards of Champagne are to the French or the orange groves of Andalusia are to the Spaniards, have been mercilessly exploited by foreign factory ships with no regard for sustainability or the future of our economy. The fact that foreign boats are fishing in UK waters under flags of convenience and not even landing the fish caught at our ports is a scandal which a Ukip government would never allow to continue. Listen to Greenpeace. They agree with us. They understand what is happening. I know. They understand what's happening, although they falsely believe that the Common Fisheries Policy can be an agent for reform rather than destruction. The CFP has been in force for over 40 years, and things have only gotten worse. Greenpeace need to recall that if you keep doing the same thing, you will keep getting the same results. Today, I'm publishing a booklet I've written called Stolen Seas, which explains this horrific and historic background to the Common Fisheries Policy, what it has done to our communities, our economy and our ecology, and what we will do to restore this priceless treasure to our own safe stewardship. It's available at my stall now and all other good stalls. There are more than one stall. And if you wish to order any additional copies for your fellow members who aren't here, you can order them free of charge today at the stall. Young Aggers there, people see the Common Agricultural Policy as a disaster, as he so rightly pointed out. And so it is. However, for the people of our coastal communities, our nation and our seas, the Common Fisheries Policy is much, much worse. It is the hidden tragedy of the EU. I travel all around our ports speaking to our fishermen. Well, they mostly speak to me and they say some bad words. And they're crying out for someone to help them, to save their livelihoods and their communities, and to give their children a chance for the future. You and I, ladies and gentlemen, know there's only one thing that can be done. We must escape the ruinous Common Fisheries Policy. And the only way we can do that, you know what I'm going to say, is to leave the EU. And you know the only way to do that? When we leave this conference, every one of us must talk to all of our friends, all of our family, all of our neighbours, and persuade them to vote UKIP on May the 7th. Let's work together and get our country back. Have a marvellous conference. It's already been an incredible experience. And remember, do not let the establishment and their media lapdogs grind you down. We will fight and we will win. Thank you very much indeed.